Hi, thanks so much for downloading the episode. On the show today, Paula and I talk about our vicious towel fights in our childhood, along with Charlie horses during sex, a little celeb talk, and some really funny H-Uglee and Awkward Moments of the week. Thank you so much. Enjoy the show.
It's another uncensored look at the world around you, from sisters who will say just about anything to anyone at any time. It's the Uggs. Jamie?
I'm not your mom right now. I'm your dad's slut. Get out!
Paula? Uncensored as always, it's time for the ugly truth.
Welcome to The Ugly Truth. This is episode 337. Okay, so the other night, I don't even know what behooved me to do it, but I think Daryl gave me a look or something, and I had a dish rag in my hand, and he was saying something smart ass, and so I towel whipped him in the knee.
Ow.
It wasn't, we were playing. It wasn't like we were truly in a fight, but I towel whipped him in the knee. And I mean, the towel wasn't even wet or anything. It was dry.
You have to be careful who you do that to, because sometimes they're better at it than you are.
Okay, so Paula, this opened up a whole world of discussion because I had completely put away my memories of our towel fights. And so, I mean, they were vicious. And it went on for like our entire childhood. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just like a phase. It went on for years. Years we had these vicious towel fights. And I started to laugh. He goes, "There's going to be a mark on my knee from that." And I said, "It was a dry, thin dish towel. If you really want to go, I'll go get the beach towel, because it's like a truly like a whip."
It's huge. No, you just need you need the hand towel. That's what it is.
Yes.
And of course, you know, Dad would start it out as a game, but he could turn anything into abuse. And so
that's not even funny, but it's true.
We'd all come out with welts and, you know,
well,
bruises.
What happened is we started retaliating and
trying to.
You have to be careful because, yes, he was obviously stronger and had been doing it a lot longer than the rest of us, but taking him out of it, I recall the four of us, someone starting it. It was usually Stephanie who would start it, and she honestly not that good at it.
No,
she was a fool for doing it, but she'd always take the weakest link out, Allison, and then she'd be like, "Hey, ow!" And so ultimately it would rile the troops, and all of a sudden it was the four of us. And of course, because you were the small one, it didn't take much to take you out of the race.
I usually tried to snap the wall just to see if I could do it before I entered the ring.
Yeah, you do some practice whips.
But usually my towels fell apart, you know, like
somehow you got the one that had like rips in it. That one white towel that was all ripped to shreds, and I don't know why we still had it.
Because I think there was always a good towel that everybody wanted.
The good towel, right? I believe it was green, but from what I recall is we'd start wetting the ends and we'd get really into it. And I do recall I doubled down and got a regular sized towel and wet the whole end. And I, of course, chose my prey, Allison. And I whipped her in the back of the thigh so hard that it left a triangle welt on her leg, and I got in trouble. And that's when Mom stepped in and said, "Oh, you want to go? You want to go?" She grabbed a dish towel and she did like flea flicker, like pew, 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 over
she was really
again.
good.
She was very good at it. Very good. I'm like, hey, and she's like, she goes, "You're lucky you have jeans on, Jamie Lynn." And she would just whip the shit out of me.
That's true. Well, we forget she had 8 brothers and sisters. So
yes, she had copious amounts of enemies growing up.
And she was the youngest, or one of the youngest.
I was laughing because I said, I recall doing, just taking that towel and whipping the shit out of her. And I'm sure it was Allison, if not Stephanie. And I remember getting in so much trouble. And it was just like, "Oh, you want to hurt people?"
Yep.
Are we not having fun anymore?
No, it always seems our idea of fun was, extremely
harming.
Demented.
It was demented. It's true.
It still is.
Yeah. But it was fun for the first few minutes. It was fun. Mm-hmm. I do recall running around and having a good time, being on, the top of couches and leaping off and flinging and whipping each other. And I definitely got my share of it too, by the way. Someone always got a good lucky shot. Who got whipped in the snatch? Someone got it right in the crotch. No, it wasn't me.
Probably was Stephanie or Allison.
I think it was Stephanie. I just remember someone just whip a tail right in between the legs. Luckily, they had jeans on. It wasn't like we were running around in our underwear. So
yeah, really.
Those times were fun to me, though. I just think and someone was dumb enough to whip mom in the ass. I'm sure it was Stephanie, but it was just those times were fun.
What she was thinking.
She was mental. She wasn't thinking at all.
Was she on drugs yet or no?
No, that was pre-drug use. That was pre when we were all just high on life.
Playing Lord of the Flies when mom was at work. Oh
my God, right? Stay-at-home moms, you get to watch it all happen, but when you're a latchkey kid, oh boy. Are latchkey kids, do those even exist anymore? Do kids even? It seems like it's not as often. I don't hear about it as often. And it's either moms and dads are afraid to tell people their kids are home alone, or it's just they create situations in which they're not unsupervised.
Well, I don't know many people that have larger families anymore. I mean,
that is true.
It's starting to happen more where people are starting to have like 3 and 4 kids, but for the most part, it's just 2s or 1. So you can't get into too much trouble that way.
Not really. And now they have Fortnite to keep them company.
Yeah,
so
really. That's true.
They don't really need it as much. They don't get to experience towel fights and
they don't have to use their imagination.
Wedgies. I was thinking about all the shit we used to do to each other. We used to give each other wedgies.
Oh God.
The towel fights. We used to sabotage food. It's like why? It's like, this is what happens when kids are in an unstructured environment for more than an hour alone.
You think so? Because we've talked to other people and I don't really remember anybody else doing those kinds of things.
I have to tell you that my kids are shocked, just like yours. They're shocked and awe when I tell them the things we used to do to each other.
I was telling Olivia all these things she should tell a bully this morning, and she's like, "Mom," she's like, "it was just a commercial on bullying," because I got all riled up,
Yes.
But
yes, I know you're not allowed to. Apparently, you're not allowed to stand up for yourself anymore when you're getting bullied. You're not supposed to say, "I'm going to kick your fucking ass. I'm going to punch you in the throat."
I'm just like, punch him in the face. And Olivia's like, "Mom, my punches aren't that hard."
Well, that's true. Then she needs to use a weapon.
And I said, then tell them their parents don't love them, and that's probably why they are the way they are.
It's like, you are the way you are because your parents don't love you and you're poor.
Did they beat you when you get home? Is that why you have to act out?
I punched a girl in the neck once. I missed her face, but I got her in the neck, so it worked. I got suspended, but my dad was proud of me.
Of course.
He's like, "You're not in trouble," and he took me to McDonald's.
I know. Dad's proud of any acts of violence.
It's true. He's like, "Oh, that's my girl." I remember being a kid and both of our parents teaching us how to win a fight.
I know.
They're like, if anyone's throwing a punch, make sure it's you. You're the first punch, and make sure it's the last punch.
Right, and it's right in the nose.
Yes, punch him right in the nose and follow through. Do not stop. Push all the way through, and then of course Mom was like, "Oh no, Dad was the one." He's like, "You got to punch him in the nuts. You have to kick him in the nuts. It's the only way to get away."
Well, girls don't have nuts.
True. That's why you punch him in the face.
Okay.
And follow through, by the way. You go all the way through. You don't stop when you hit the face. You keep going.
Yeah.
Like you're punching paper.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then with boys, you kick them in the nuts. He's like, "Don't be afraid to kick him in the nuts."
Yeah. I know, because everyone has this whole fight fair, and I think our parents just said fight dirty,
Yeah. Well, that's the only way to win.
Bite, scratch, do whatever you have to do, spit.
And by the way, we use that on each other.
Yes, we did.
So often.
Oh my God.
And now our kids are so like refined and mannered.
I don't even think I've seen my children get violent with each other.
We were wildlings, and they were and now you know what though, in some aspects I am kind of glad. I don't want a violent household.
No, I guess not. I just, like sometimes, Olivia will slap Ryan. Like But she says it's on accident. But I mean, not slap him in the face or anything like that.
Like in the back or something?
Or like on the arm or something. And Ryan sit there and hold his arm and be like, Mom, she just hit me. You know?
God, wait till Ryan hopefully he'll never ever encounter a fight. I mean, you don't want your kids to, encounter any violence, especially when you're not there. Or
he's not really afraid, but
he shouldn't be. He's huge,
but
he's a gargantuan.
He's so likable. I just don't see anybody, wanting to fight him. And
like that. It's funny when you see, like, on TV they do it all the time. It's like, if you want to trade cuffs, I'll trade cuffs. And you can tell they've never ever had to hit another human being in their life.
Usually two little boys, when they start fighting, they just start slapping each other and they both start crying. So
you know what? Absolutely true. When Tyler was 6, his best friend in the world, Chad, they were inseparable for years. And even when he moved away, they saw each other every weekend. And so it was the first time that they got into a scuff. And I don't even remember what it was about. I think it was about music. They wanted to decide who was going to listen to what. And Chad was getting into the heavier of metals at 6, and Tyler was still into Linkin Park.
Okay.
And so they were arguing about something, and then all of a sudden it happened so fast, and I was just sitting on the couch, like probably folding laundry or something. I turn, I see these 2 little puppies rolling around on the floor, like slapping, punching, but they were all like in the fetal position, like they look like a yin and a yang together, fighting. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, ah! And then they separated and they started crying. And Chad's like, I'm going home. And he got on his bike. And went home. And it took, I think, 3 hours. And I had to take him over and they made up. And it was so cute. And I said, this is how you do it, right? This is, you get it all out. And then you're tired and you apologize and you're friends again.
Right.
Where girls will torture each other for weeks before someone goes, that's it, that's enough, get over it. I will never get over it.
Right. We'll be friends again, but I'll never forget this.
I will never forgive you for this, but I will be your friend again. And then you hold it against them for. It's amazing that any women have friends longer than a few weeks.
I don't have any friends. I mean, I have some at a distance, but
I'm your friend.
You're my sister.
That's
you know what I mean.
Cold.
Oh, stop it.
I know. But you know what? When you have, that's the really good thing, actually. I mean, it's the one of the good things about having a bunch of kids is they're all each other's best friends for the most part.
Hopefully.
You can like more than the other. I mean, especially if a lot. But ultimately, you have built-in playmates, built-in gang. If you get in trouble, we're all going to come running. I mean, I even know this to this day. I mean, if shit gets real, I know 3 people who will be there within an hour.
That's true.
So that's the good part. Bad part, towel fights, stuff like that.
We'll be showing up with our towels.
It's like, who fucked with you? But so second note that I wanted to ask you about, which I thought was hilarious, is I was reading, Gary Shandling passed away some time ago.
Oh, he did?
But yes, he did. I believe he had a heart attack. Or
sometimes I forget certain celebrities died.
So many people die now, but all the people that we really liked when we were kids, they all are our parents' age and they're passing away. And I think that's young, by the way.
Okay, you know who died that I actually am glad, because she used to scare the shit out of me?
Carol Channing. Do you know you are not alone, that there are a lot of people who are afraid of her? Kids?
Frightened me.
She had a weird mouth.
And she had a weird sound. And yeah.
I can't even do it.
I don't even know why she was famous.
Broadway, apparently. I read that. Yes. I wasn't a big fan of hers either.
That is a big sigh of relief.
The nightmare's over, you all. Oh. Finally, the 97-year reign has ended.
I don't have to worry about her popping up on my TV on some telethon, with that big white wig or something.
Yeah, it's true. So anyway, Gary Shandling died, but his Twitter feed, whoever tweets thoughts that he'd had or things that he'd written, because he wrote like every day, all day.
Oh, really?
Comedians do that. They write down all their thoughts, and if anything good happens, they turn it into stand up or a joke or whatever.
Right.
So he was profoundly talented and very funny. I loved Gary Shandling. Even when I was a little girl, I remember him being really funny. They reposted something he had written about. He goes, so this guy died of a heart attack having sex. He's like, I can't even imagine dying of a heart attack during sex. He's like, I get a Charlie horse in the arch of my foot during sex. And I have to say, hold on, grab my foot, and I'm like, ow. He goes, it's really unsexy when a woman has to tell you to walk it off. And I started to laugh. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. It was way funnier the way he wrote it.
Who gets a Charlie horse on their foot during sex?
Paula, you've never gotten a Charlie horse during sex?
No.
Really? Oh my God. No, without getting incredibly graphic, I got a Charlie horse in my hamstring area once. It was so bad. It took me completely out of the moment, but I didn't want to stop because I didn't want to be the person, because it would have completely ended, right? The sex would have ended. And I was like, how do I do this? And then, then it moved up into my hip. And my whole leg was like one giant cramp. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And I'm like, well, I can't close my legs, but can I like hike it up a certain angle? I was trying to figure out what to do. Nothing was working. And I'm like, I feel paralyzed right now.
I would have just been like, get off!
I just couldn't do it. I was like, what do I do? Finally, it started to go away. I'm like, okay, now I can relax and try to, have an orgasm.
Jeez.
But it's happened to me. It's not frequently, but it has happened. It's happened to Daryl too.
A Charlie
And he'll be
horse?
like, oh yeah.
Where though?
In his leg, usually.
Oh,
it's usually
okay.
legs. It's, because we're getting weird or whatever.
You guys are clenching or something? I don't get it. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe our core strength isn't strong enough. And so we rely too much on our legs instead of our back. I don't know.
Quit horsing around.
Right? So he's definitely I've gotten him in the arch of my foot before. Absolutely.
I only get that when I'm swimming for some reason. Then when I put my foot up, my toes are all funked up. Have you ever seen that? Like your pinky toe is like stretched way across the top of your foot. And you're like, what the fuck? And for some reason you can't swim anymore. So you're like trying to make it to the edge of the pool.
You're going to be one of those people that dies and they're like, we don't know. She's perfectly healthy.
She drowned. Oh, look at her foot. She couldn't swim.
Toe's all weird.
She couldn't swim.
Exactly. So I was reading about that going, God, that's hilarious. Because it's like cramps during sex is the worst, because suddenly not only are you taken out of the moment, then you become painfully aware of your body, which is even worse.
That's true.
Because unless you look like Kate Upton or something,
yeah, that's true.
it ain't pretty.
Yeah, you're in fantasy land for most of the time until something real happens.
And then, something real happens. And, it's happened to me where, my phone will ring or it'll be a text message from a child or something, which is the worst, by the way.
I know.
Mom, it's like,
knock on the door.
I'm not your mother.
What are you doing? We're changing our clothes.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not your mom right now. I'm your dad's son. Get out. It's like, eat the cereal. I don't care. Yes, you may have whatever you want.
Yes, you can have 3 ice creams. I don't care.
Just I'll see you in a minute. Daryl's big thing is like, we're getting dressed.
That's what I say every time. I'm like, we're changing our clothes.
It's like, wow, they get dressed a lot.
Right.
It's true. But when I was reading about that going, God, and then I thought, I don't want anyone dying on me during sex. That would be terrible. There have been times where things will get incredibly passionate, where I, at this point, at our age, I'll be all, are you all right? He's like, I'm fine. Why? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just making sure.
Yeah,
just want to make sure.
Don't die on me.
I can't have that. I can't have that on my conscience.
I've seen too many movies where that happens.
I asked Daryl a couple days ago because, and I don't think I'm alone. I think a lot of wives do this to their husbands. And I'm sure you have done this as well. But I turned to him and I said, do you think I'm good enough in bed to snag a rich old man?
I don't think I've ever asked, but...
And he looked at me. He goes, yes, is the answer.
I don't know. I mean, I see all these articles about these guys, like these older rich guys, and they're dating like 19-year-olds, and like 20-year-olds.
I know. I think they like the youth more than the experience.
I think so too.
Because I don't know about you, but when I was 20, I wouldn't consider myself a fantastic lover. Not yet.
I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Did you ever notice that the more experience you got, the shorter the interlude was? Because you got real good at it.
Yeah, I've had that. Yeah.
Because I mean, when I first started having sex, I feel like it was marathon sex, and after a while, I'm like, can we just be done with this? Because it's like the fun ended like 20 minutes ago. 30 minutes ago. I'm over it. And it's like, because nobody knows what they're really doing. So it's just, you think that 2 hours of banging is good, when really, I mean, I don't know about you, but 40 minutes of that. And I'm like, I'm getting kind of sore,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's not good, but you know what I'm saying? After a while, you're like, I just don't think this is going to result in what we think is going to result.
Well, I was kind of like a sponge in the sense that I just like absorbed every instruction. So that way, because I was like learning.
Yes.
And then like once I kind of like got the hang of things, then I went through this phase where I could pretty much get a guy to go like in under 2 minutes.
Right.
And
right.
That's kind of how I even told him, I'm like, you'll be done in 2 minutes. They're like, yeah, right. And
I know.
And then he's like, well, you were right. 2 minutes.
Anyway, I thought the cramping during sex topic was hilarious. Okay, so let's run through our celeb discussions. Chris Pratt is getting married to a Schwarzenegger
after only a year of being divorced.
Anna Faris is all on board.
That I know. I mean, I'm sure she is. I mean, she was the one that initiated the separation and split and everything like that. So she was obviously done with the whole thing. I find it interesting that since that split, Chris has really, Mr. Pratt, has really embraced his true self. Like, he's really probably more himself than he ever was before. He's red-blooded American, super Christian, which I'm not judging. I mean, he can do it. I mean, that's great if that's who he is. It's getting a little weird for me.
Well, he's doing a fast, a biblical fast.
A Bible fast or something like that.
Yeah, it's some kind of biblical fast. It's 21 days, and he's also recording it on Instagram, of course. So it's kind of like, is it a testament? What is he trying to, what is it why is he, because if it's something spiritual and it's personal, you don't necessarily put it on Instagram.
Okay, but here's my other question. Are we to believe that him and this Schwarzenegger girl have not engaged in premarital sex?
Well, Paula, we all have our limits of how Christian we want to be.
I'm just saying,
I know.
Why go all the way with this fast and eat dirt and sticks and, but you're still fucking, but not screw your fiance.
I know. It's true. It's like we're going to pick and choose our Christianity.
That's why I always find it stupid. It's just like either be it or don't,
Yeah, if you're going to live the life, live the life.
Or don't pick and choose, and make yourself seem like some sort of martyr. Right. When you get drunk on the weekends and, wake up in bed with some chick.
He couldn't, really, he's in the perfect family. I mean, she's a Kennedy and a Schwarzenegger. I mean,
But it's not even about that. It's about like, don't you want to give yourself a little space to think about life?
He wants kids. He wants more kids.
He was married for 8 years.
I know. She didn't want them. Anna didn't want them. Anyway, okay. Have you heard of this baby Chanko? Did you Google it?
Yeah, I did. Okay. I saw this. I want to say it was an Awkward Family Photos. It was like 15 pictures of all these babies with like big hair.
Yeah.
And so I think he or she or whatever it is,
she
must have been in there. But
baby Chanko, I believe she's 18 months old now, or a year old. She's a year old, and she was born with a big head of hair. And I love babies who have that much hair when they're born. I think it's so cute. But the mom obviously didn't cut it, and so the way it's growing out, she has like this big Tina Turner hair. Right. It doesn't lay flat. And so because of this unusual mane, she created an Instagram account for her baby and took pictures of the baby, whatever. Now, aside from the fact that I would never do that because of crazy people and perverts.
That's weird. Yeah.
Right. But they live in Japan and it's unusual. So she got quite a following. So Pantene saw this baby and said, oh, we want her. And so she is the new figure, she's in their ad campaign in Japan with another woman who is a popular broadcaster there. And they're doing an ad campaign about something about have your hair be the fresh start you need or something it's something really weird. I don't understand it, but she is now a figure for Pantene.
Because
of her hair.
They have tearless shampoo for 18-month-olds.
Right.
Like you would ever use real shampoo on a baby's head.
I know. Well, she's only a year old. But anyway, I found it odd. And the baby's beautiful. She's beautiful.
No, I mean,
really gorgeous baby. But I just was like, this is so strange that this 1-year-old has such a following. She has almost 1 million followers. And now she's famous.
That's creepy.
I have some funny, ugly, and awkward moments of the week, but I want to, you and I had talked briefly about talking about some of our parenting experience. And so
yes.
I wanted to ask or have a discussion with you about the difference between having your first baby and the difference when you have your second baby, as far as when they're brand new. And I just remember for me, when I had my first baby, I thought I had to ask permission to pick him up out of the bassinet at the hospital.
Yeah, I remember feeling kind of the same way.
I'm like, it's like when we get new equipment and we kind of poke it with sticks at first.
Right.
It's kind of the same thing. He was just laying there sleeping and all the chaos had ended and I was all, sewn up and sitting in my bed with painkiller. I got a little painkiller and had my little meal. He was just sleeping in there, just peaceful as can be. And I looked at him like, do I have to do something now?
Yeah, that's exactly what I remember thinking. Well, I was holding him and then I was just like, can I put
what do I do?
Where do I put him now? Like my arms are getting tired.
I know.
Do I just lay him next to me or
what's the deal?
Will he fall? Like he's kind of, rolled up. Like, will he roll away?
He's
or
burritoed.
Can I just do I put him in that thing? And then they propped it up and I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea. You know how they prop up
yes,
those little bassinet
things? They do. Yeah, they elevate it.
Can we just lay it flat?
I mean, is he comfortable? I'm like, is he comfortable like this? They're like, oh yes, he's fine. I'm like, are you sure? Yes, he's fine.
And they're like, we can take him to the nursery if you want. I'm like, no, he can just stay here. He's all right.
Yeah. So I remember sitting there and the nurse came and she goes, oh, can I get you anything? Because I'm switching, because they shift at 7.
Right.
And I said, can I hold him? And she's like, yeah, he's your baby. You can do whatever you want. And I'm like, oh, she's like, would you like to hold him? I'm like, I would. And she's like, okay, here you go. So I held him and then I immediately conked out and I fell asleep holding him. And the new nurse came in. She woke me up. She's like, you really shouldn't sleep with your baby next to you holding him. And I go, why? She goes, well, you're 5 feet off the ground. And if you drop him, he will be very hurt. And I went, oh my God, you're right. So she took the baby and he kept sleeping. God, Tyler was such an easy baby. Oh my God.
You're so lucky. Well, when we got home with Ryan, we put him in one of those little bouncy seats, which he looked like a fly inside of it.
They're so tiny.
And we turned off all the lights in the house because he was sleeping.
Like he's an old man.
So we just had the TV on, but we had it on mute or something. So
you're like, don't wake the baby. Yeah.
And so we were just staring at him, and so we're like, what do we do now?
You know what
do you just wait for something to happen?
You just wait. You're constantly waiting for some noise or something. I remember when I came home with Tyler the first night, I was terrified that he was going to that he would have SIDS. I was sure of it. So I slept with the light on. And I watched him for hours. And one time I started to, I'm sure I was hallucinating, but I swear I thought he was turning purple. So I grabbed him and I didn't shake him, but I pushed on him and rolled him to wake him up. And he was furious with me, angry. Yeah. He's like, what? And I was like, okay, thank God. And I picked him up like, oh, you're alive. It's okay. What do you want? What do you need?
Well, and then I remember when we got home too, I'm like, can I take him out of all these blankets? Does he have to be wrapped up in all this stuff?
I know.
I'm like, I just want to see his body. So
it's so foreign. And there's no amount of books or advice that will even help you to feel any other way than, hello, this is so strange. Hi, little creature. It's
right.
Just so, especially, when it's your first one, you just can't even believe, your mind is just blown. Then I had Mackenzie and it was a completely different experience. I had her and I was holding her. First of all, she was a different baby, obviously different personality. So she screamed her head off for the first hour after she was born.
Oh, fabulous.
And I held her and she's screaming at me and she didn't want to baba or anything. And I'm looking at her going, you and I have a long road ahead. You really need to chill. You must chill. But we called her the Hornet. Man, that baby, she screamed her little head off every time something was not right for her.
She just didn't want things.
She's like, I want it the way I want it. And if you don't, then I'm going to scream my head off, which she did. She hated being wet. She hated being poopy. She hated being hungry. It was a constant demands. But and what's funny is that she actually ended up being a great baby once she got past newborn. But newborn, she was rough, man. I don't know. How was Olivia when she was a newborn?
Olivia was just quiet. She slept a lot and, or she would just, when she was awake, she would just stare at things and
absorbing.
Yeah. She just, are you all right? I'm like, can I get you anything? Or, it's just like,
I just remember when I had Mackenzie, the second one, first of all, the labor was much more difficult because she was so much bigger.
God, she was huge.
I just remember afterwards, I'm like, all right, I got this, and I held her the whole time and I swung that bassinet over and I burrito wrapped her and put her in there. And I was just like, I need to sleep, man. Can I get a pill? It was so much more casual because I had been there before. So it's so nice to be confident when it comes to things like that, because the only thing that makes you confident is experience.
Right. No, I completely agree.
And of course, ignoring any horrible issues that might arise. But in general, it's so nice to just know what you're doing. Now, God, it was such a relief to know that I could pick her up. I could hold her. I could ask for things. It was a much more enjoyable birthing
experience.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree.
I wish that I could say everybody should have two so they could understand that they're actually doing it okay. They're doing okay. Mm-hmm. Because that's really the way you figure it out, is you're like, oh yeah, I know, I got this. When you only have one, all you have is your harrowing experience.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, so maybe next week we'll talk about potty training.
Oh my God.
You've got some stories.
I never successfully potty trained either of them.
Well, we'll talk about it and we'll figure it out. Okay, so let's do our H-Uglee and Awkward Moments of the Week, restaurant edition.
Oh.
And the reason that I'm bringing it up is because I was awkward at the restaurant on Sunday. Daryl and I took Malia out for Mexican food. So we found a new restaurant. Daryl and I love it. It's much more authentic, by the way, actually spicy food. And so we took her to it on Sunday and she approved. And so we're like, all right, awesome. And it's closer, actually, and it's new. So we go there now, and when Daryl and I went there once before, and I heard them say, oh yeah, Jose is the head bartender, he makes the best margaritas. He didn't say it to us, we just heard it between two employees or something. So we got our margaritas that night, and when we were leaving, there was a gentleman of Hispanic origin, and they're all Hispanic there. There's no white people that work here. So I had one margarita, Paula. It wasn't even like I was hammered.
Jamie, you didn't try your Spanish again, did
No!
you? Okay.
No. I actually refrain from doing that now. I don't do that anymore. But I turned, and our waiter and this bartender were standing there because it was close to close. And I turn around and I go, hey, are you Jose? And Daryl and Malia are like, what's happening? And he goes, no, I'm David. I said, oh. He goes, no, Jose's not here. Why? And I said, oh, well, and now I have to explain why I wanted to say why I said it. And I said, oh, the last time we were here, we had heard someone say, Jose makes the best margaritas. And I just wanted to offer my compliments. The margaritas were delicious. And he goes, well, thank you. I go, you're welcome, David. I'm like, well, forget Jose. And I'm like, all right, I got to get out of here. I was just like, good Lord.
Oh my God.
And Daryl's like, why did you do that? And I said, well, I thought it was Jose. He goes, why? Because they all look the same. And I'm like, no.
That's like the time I kept calling my gardener Jose. I did it for years.
What was his name?
Marcelo.
Oh, geez. Why did you call him Jose?
I thought his name was Jose.
Did he like yell Jose to his helper or something?
Well, that's what Victor asked me. He's like, why did you think his name was Jose? And I'm like, I don't know.
God.
And he's just like, is it just because it just sounds like a gardener's name or something? And I'm like, I don't know.
That's not
I'm not sure where it came up.
God, I felt like such an idiot. What a maroon. Anyway, so I just thought in respect of that, I still need some more H-Ugly and Awkward moments from our listeners. So please submit those. It takes some time for them to trickle in, I understand, because people don't listen like the second we drop the show. So I expect it'll take some time, but I can't wait to see and hear about your H-Ugly and Awkward moments. Anyway, here's the first one. This one, definitely. I thought of you, Paula.
Oh, okay.
This will be the only time I mention this. My new boyfriend brought me to a Michelin-starred restaurant for Valentine's Day. I'd been dying to go there, so he'd been keeping the date a secret. I didn't know where we'd be going, just that we had plans, so I was really nervous and excited. The fact that I was nervous and excited had consequences. I got gassy. Now, I'm a lady. I can usually keep farts in, but we were sitting there for 7 courses and 7 appetizers before that, and I was just keeping my butt shut. And then a few small ones snuck out. And then that just sort of continued through the night. God, not that I would ever admit to that happening, but that's definitely happened. Where you have to try to deal with gas all night long.
Yes.
Okay. Long story short, I was on a romantic Valentine's Day date with my new boyfriend at a Michelin restaurant, and I'm just farting constantly. To make matters worse, I went to the bathroom at the end of the night, and they had some stalls that seemed like they were designed by experimental artists, and I couldn't figure out the lock. So I was just in there for like 10 minutes trying to lock the fucking door. And let me tell you, there's nothing that makes you feel less sexy and romantic than thinking your new boyfriend thinks you just took a massive dump at a Michelin-starred restaurant.
Oh, my God.
Oh, jeez. And I thought, that's something that would happen to us.
That sounds like an amazing restaurant, though.
I know. I'm like, where is this?
She probably couldn't even enjoy it because she was so worried about having gas.
When you get preoccupied like that, it's a waste. Because she's sitting there.
Shoving that much food in your mouth and stomach when you have gas?
Oh, my God. She probably looked 5 months pregnant when she got home in her fancy dress. And she's like, and now, of course, sex has to happen.
Exactly.
And, you can't unload that much gas out of your bowels when you've had that much food.
It's at that time that I pray I don't have an orgasm.
Oh, my God. I know, right? It's so true. It's like when you have intestinal distress and then you're dumb enough to have sex and you were even dumber enough to have an orgasm, it's like dying. All things release. There's just nothing you can do about it either. Nothing. I hate it. I hate it so much. God.
It kind of reminds me of that movie Along Came Polly when they're eating that. What was it?
It was Indian food.
Is that what it was? But they were eating like with their fingers.
Yes.
And she's like, are you sure you're all right? And he's like, yeah, fine. And he's totally sweating.
And he's like clenching his ass. Yes, exactly. That's exactly it.
That movie.
Oh my God. Okay. So this one reminded me of me. This is something that would happen to me. I had a pair of socks that I loved to wear when I went home from work. These socks, or after work, these socks were old and ripped, but they were so comfortable to wear that I just didn't care. And besides, I only wore them at home.
Okay.
One time at work on our lunch break, 2 female coworkers and I decided to go walk to a restaurant near our work. We sat on a table that was on the open area right next to the sidewalk. We're eating when one of my friends notices something on the ground next to me and says, "What's that?" And I look down and it was my old ripped sock. I laughed so hard, Paula, when I read this. Somehow, I never noticed that when putting my pants on that day, there was one sock stuck inside the leg and it fell out when I sat down. They were both laughing and said it was surely mine, and I denied it, telling them that probably a hobo might have dropped it, and they believed me. They believed me because who would own an ugly ripped sock?
So he lost his sock.
We finished. This is the part that made me laugh. We finished and walked back to our workplace. I turned my head a few times, staring at my favorite sock, feeling helpless, not being able to take it with me.
Did he go back and get it?
No.
Aww.
He abandoned his ripped sock. to save his awkward moment. Oh my
God. Guys are so weird.
I'm crying. Well, it's bad. I mean, God, what if it had been underwear or something? But
a woman would never do that.
No.
She would never have these weird, comfy socks that...
Well, I mean, look, I have my underwear. I finally threw a pair of underwear today or the other day.
I just threw a pair of underwear the other day too, but they had a big hole in the front, so it was like all muff coming out.
It was like one of those headbands where you have your ponytail sticking out.
Kind of.
Yeah, it's like, I guess I could put a scrunchie on this, but I don't think this is going to be attractive.
I don't know. I don't even know where the rip came from. You know what? Actually, I think I do know what happened. I thought I started my period, so I put a pad on.
Yeah.
But it was the one with the wings.
Yes.
And so for some reason, the freaking wings would not come off. Unstick.
Yeah.
So I started ripping at it quite violently, and
you ripped a hole.
I think I must have tore a hole in the underwear.
Yeah. I had a pair. When I'm on my period, I wear little boy shorts.
Yeah.
And so I had a pair of little boy shorts. They were this pastel yellow. And they were so cute, and I just loved them. And there's just a hole, and it just got too big. And I said, I can't believe I have to throw these away. I'm like, how sad. I'm like, I love you, little underwear. And I had to throw them away. It was a bummer because I don't like buying new underwear. I hate it. It's just harsh onto the skin. Mm-hmm. Broken into underwear are so comfy. I can see why men never throw them away.
Or they just buy the same brand every time.
Anyway, so those are the Ugly and Awkward Moments, which I thought they were both hilarious.
They are funny.
And one reminded me of me and one reminded me of you.
The sock. That was funny.
The sad sock. And, well, actually, I was a little sad for him, too. I'm like, oh, he had to leave it behind.
If I were him, I would have gone back and gotten the sock.
Of course you would have. You'd be like, I'll be right back, you guys. I forgot my credit card. Or, we'll wait. No, please, just go.
I forgot something.
Yeah.
It's just anything.
He turns around. Na, 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 na.
And watched the sock was gone.
Yeah.
It was just blowing in the street.
It's like, there it goes, my little sock. I know. Anyway, there we go. That's it.
So I think that's a wrap. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Hopefully you had a good weekend, and so far your week is going well. It's a little rainy in these parts, but that's okay. I like the rain. Jamie does not, but that's fine. So be sure to keep shopping Amazon. Go to uglytruth.com, click on our Amazon button, and it'll take you directly to Amazon. Also, go to lipandclip.com and order some makeup. I know I need to do that because I'm running out of my cream to powder base foundation stuff.
Yes.
So I like that stuff. And it actually lasts a long time if you don't usually wear a ton of makeup. But
I actually have a cart full of stuff to buy because they have all of their Valentine's Day themed stuff.
Oh.
I don't like Valentine's Day, but I do love hearts. And so they have a cute little palette, a heart-shaped palette. I've got that. I mean, they have some weird shit on there. Like I'm buying these spatulas that are red and pink with hearts on them.
Oh, that's cute.
And I'm buying a little plastic plate that says, I don't know, I love you or something. I don't know, but it's cute. And I kind of collect heart-shaped stuff. So not like crazy. But when I see cute little things like that, I'm like, oh, and I'll use it too. So I'll buy it. But yeah. The palette is adorable. I can't wait to get it. So
I'll have to check it out
since
I'm ordering.
Yes.
So you should order too if you like hearts and not necessarily Valentine's Day, just hearts.
Yeah.
So other than that, I think you should have a fabulous rest of your week, and we will see you on Sunday. Bye.
Thanks for listening and sharing the show. See you next time on The Ugly Truth.